Oh, hey. Welcome to the
Hi.
Sovereign Soul. Hi,
Hi,
and
I'm
welcome
so
to
excited to be
Spanglish World
here.
Network. Yes, it's so good, right? Oh my goodness. All right. Let me do my official welcome for all of you joining us. You are in the Sovereign Souls world, and welcome also to Spanglish World Networks on Zingo TV, channel 250 and 251. A quick reminder to download the Zingo TV app on your mobile and TV devices. You can find Zingo TV in the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you're there, you got to make sure you're downloading and rating us, but also leaving a comment. We want to know how we're doing. The app is totally free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chrome, Amazon Fire, Fire Sticks, Roku and Roku Sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 and forward. I am so excited to welcome you all to today's episode. I am your host, Jacqueline Hopper. I'm a self mastery guide, energy healer, and best-selling author. And today's episode is pretty freaking special and pretty epic, if I do say so myself. This is one of the nearest and dearest and closest secret keepers I have in my entire world. This is my best friend, Miss Christina Aroche Weinert. We talked about this, and I was like, "Girl, I need you to just give us everything that you have today." And you were like, "I got this. Like, I got this." Before we start, though, I want you to, I want you to introduce yourself to everyone joining us.
Yay! Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, first of all, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And so, for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Christina Aroche, and I am a spiritual teacher and mentor. And I support people on their journey of becoming their very best selves. I help them to uncover their truth, to follow the path of their soul's destiny, and to really shine in who they're meant to be. And along the way, I support them in deepening their spiritual connection, deepening their connection to the angels, to other divine beings that are around them, and teaching them how to use that spiritual connection and use those gifts to support them in living their truth. So I'm really excited to be here today, Jackie. Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? There's no one else that would have guest spot number one. Like, it was reserved. The team was just like, let's just move on because we know who's coming on first. Like, let's just keep talking about other people we're bringing on. I love everybody that's in the lineup, but the team knew, like, guest number one has got to be Christina. Like, there's just,
Oh
they would have
my
caught
gosh.
heat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I am so excited. And I have to give you a huge shout out because I do know you pretty freaking
Mhm.
well, and it is 7 AM where you are. You don't do this for anybody. Like,
No,
I
you know
do
what I was
feel another level of love.
Oh, yeah. Like, there are very, very, very few people on this earth that I would wake up this early for and be all ready for. And but you're on that
I
list,
love
so
you.
that's pretty freaking
Thank
special.
God. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm grounding myself because my nerves, as I'm sure everybody can feel. We're just grounding over here. I have such an amazing conversation to have with you today. And I thought I knew what we were gonna do. You know this, so you're not
Mhm.
worried at all. I thought I knew what we were gonna do, and then I saw something that you posted recently
Ooh.
that threw everything I thought I wanted to talk about out the window because I was like, "Oh, no. Oh, no, 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 we gotta talk about this.
Oh,
This is
perfect.
gonna be so good." So I'm so excited in this conversation. Of course, we have to give a shout out to the online audience that's joining us. We see you. We see you,
Yes.
Melissa. We see you, Alicia. Margie's here, Loren and Aunt George and Rachel Bruno. Oh my gosh, we're so excited that you guys are joining us and participating. We love this.
Mhm.
We love this. Okay, so a few days ago, you posted um, I think it was a reel. I think it was a reel
Mhm.
because I watch all your stuff. And you were talking about the difference between a spiritual awakening and a soul awakening. I literally took the notebook and went, "Forget it. Forget it. We are not talking about what Jackie wanted to talk about. I want to talk about this." That was like I think I saved that reel because I sat back in my chair and was like, "Oh my God, yes, yes." There is such a profound difference between a
Yes.
soul awakening and a spiritual awakening.
Yep.
we have to have
Absolutely.
this
Oh my
conversation.
gosh,
We
I
have to have
love
this
that so much. Can I just tell you that I was like, I know Jackie's, gonna say whatever she wants to talk about, and we're just gonna flow and do whatever. So I came on here not really having a clue, but that reel kept popping up in my head. And it was like spiritual awakening,
I
soul
love it.
awakening. Like you'll bring that up in some shape or form. So I just love
Absolute
that
Are
you're
you
bringing
kidding? Like,
no
people don't
perfect.
realize that we actually kind of, like we don't take a break from each other, but we, like, stop a little bit before we do something big, whether it's in-person retreats, whether it's a workshop online, whether it's a
Mhm.
simple live on Facebook. Like, you and I kind of just kinda do this thing, because when we come
Yep.
back together, it's just so, like it's just an energetic thing, and it is so
It's
freaking
perfect.
powerful because the
Yep.
conversation is like, we haven't talked in years, and I have to get caught up on all the things that you're talking about between the soul awakening and the spiritual awakening, and blow my mind because this is so I honestly my whole heart knows that this is the time for this conversation with the way our
Mhm.
external world is looking right now. Like,
Yeah.
there's been so much, like and I know you know, and I know the angels especially because you are so deeply connected to the angelic realm that they are, like, in full force right now with everything that's kind of happening in the
Mhm.
world, and so I feel this conversation at the tips of my toes. Like, I just it's so good. So, let's start with you giving us the difference between, um, a soul awakening and a spiritual awakening.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a spiritual awakening is that moment. It's a moment that you can pinpoint when you became aware of the spiritual world and you became
Mhm,
aware of your spiritual connection. So, this means you became aware of maybe your that you're an empath, or that you became aware of the your spiritual connection to angels or to past loved ones or to spirit guides. This is when you became aware of the fact that there is something more out there than just the physical experience that we are in. It's when you became aware, like, oh, wait, there is a divine energy around me. There is a God or the creator or source or however you want to call it, right? There are angels, there are spirit guides, and I have an intuitive sense and a knowing that exists and that is a part of me. And so this is often something that happens one time and that you remember, like you can pinpoint the moment when it started to happen, right? It doesn't mean that it's like flash, but it started to
right,
happen over a period of time and you remember when it started. A soul awakening is a cyclical process that we all go through. And this is the
mhm,
process of where we are faced with a challenge, a hardship, a situation that is calling us forward to become more of who we truly are. And so the process is that we move through what I call the 8 pillars. And we move through this process where we go from, first of all, the challenge and everything that comes with facing a certain circumstance or situation or challenge, and then transmuting that pain into power,
mhm.
activating the energy of our soul, and I call these the soul layers, like the activating the next layer of our soul that is ready to come online, meaning that this is going to elevate you into a different frequency, perspective, and level of empowerment. So there's this layer of your soul that's ready to be embodied. So that's the activation that happens. And then we go through the process from there with releasing the old identity and really coming into alignment with this newer version of ourselves, coming into the space of empowerment within whatever we discover along the way, allowing ourselves to be seen. So, allowing ourselves to actually be seen and recognized for that. And then the
Yes.
last piece is the actual embodiment. So that's the whole soul awakening process. That is soul awakening. And we do this
Yeah,
over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
over and over
Just,
and over. Yes.
whenever we're faced with certain challenges or situations, sometimes it's major life changes. Like for me, for example, most recently it was after the birth of my second daughter. So that was like a big like soul awakening moment for me. And I've been going through this process. And
Mhm,
that was just the most recent one. And then sometimes it could be a
mhm.
little bit, I don't want to say minor, but sometimes they're a bit more subtle and not like this huge life-changing moment, but they still happen, right? So they happen, but it's a cyclical process that we go through, and the whole point of it is to awaken our soul, to awaken who we truly are, to allow that energy, our spiritual being, to become fully embodied in our human experience.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I just ugh, oh, it just I'm like sweating over here. I'm so excited about this. I think that this is so good. So here's my question. And I was literally talking to my clients yesterday. I had a couple private calls. And while we were talking, this concept came up. And I started going real deep into it. And I know now it wasn't just for them and just for me, it was for our conversation as well. What happens if we go through this cyclical soul experience of, this newness of who we are because we've up leveled, we upgraded. We're at this new space
Mhm.
where we're no longer this old version of who we are, but we haven't yet walked into this
Mhm.
or embodied or embraced or really felt, because that's as a human being, that
Mhm.
is the indicator that we are this new expression. We feel this differently,
Mhm.
right? And so what do we do in the middle? I was referring to it as somewhat of a void because you're not who you were. You know that you're not who
Right.
you were. But and you can see who you are. You know that being that you are walking towards, like, way more confident, way more worth, way more value, way more knowingness, so farther along the healing journey, right? But yet you're
Yep.
just in this space of, like, I would call it uncomfortable, maybe even feeling vulnerable, maybe a bit raw, right? You're like,
Mhm.
so walk me through what you would say to someone that's like, "Okay, I know I'm not going back to that person, that version, that space.
Mhm.
Just, like, not yet 100% over here yet. What do we do? What do we do?"
Hey, that's such a good question. I love this so much, and I feel like I've recently walked through this, so I can walk right alongside
Same.
and
Mhm.
talk you through this. So, what I would say to someone who's going through, who is in that process, is one, and I know this is hard to hear, but it is about patience and trusting is the number one thing, which I can say with certainty, being on the other side of it now. Like, there's a reason why we have the void. There's a reason for
Yeah.
it. In our human mind, we want to go through it as quickly as possible. Like, let's get out of here because it's uncomfortable, because there's a lot of uncertainty, because we're kind of like, So our human is the one that's like, let's get through this as quickly as possible. And spirit says,
Mhm.
well, there's a reason for you to be here. We want you to enjoy, like, to be in this process with us. We're holding you. We're with you. Don't worry. There is another side. You're not going to stay in the void forever, right? So the biggest thing there is really leaning into your spiritual connection. Like, during that time when you're in the void, that is a time for you to begin to really open yourself up to, open your heart to a deeper level in terms of your connection to God, to the angels, to your spirit guides, to, whatever spiritual energy it is that you connect with. But it is an important time to be filled so deeply with their love, with their support, with um their knowing, for you to know that you're okay and that you're going to get through this. That's what I would say is the number one thing for you to focus on during that void is, okay, I know that I'm in this void. I know I'm going over here, but right now I'm in this space and it's uncomfortable. They're asking you to really, like, be emptied out. And that's what I felt during my time being in there, is in this
Mhm.
void, is that it was like an emptying out, in the sense of emptying out of everything that I thought, everything that everyone else told me I should do, or what they think, or blah, 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 like an emptying out of everything, so that
Yep.
all that you are left with is that pure vessel that is how you were always meant to be, so that you can then bring in this next level energy of your true self, of
Mhm.
the divine expression that desires to move through you. Because at the end of the day, what is the whole purpose of this thing? Is that you are showing up in more of your truth as a divine being. And what does that mean? That means that you are bringing in the expression of the divine, of God, through you. How would God desire to be expressed through you in this lifetime, right? What are you here to create? What energy are you here to bring to others? What is the light that you are meant to shine? And the only way that you will truly come to like know what that is when you allow yourself during this void period to be emptied out, so to speak, right? And emptied out of everything. And how do we empty out? Is by leaning into our connection and leaning in even deeper into, the spiritual energy that has been supporting us. So that is the
Yeah,
number one thing in the void.
I love this. Like, I have to keep notes because I'll lose my track of thought with how many thoughts I have with the things that you say.
I know.
Honest to God, like,
That's a
go
good sign.
slow.
Good.
Literally, like, I had a conversation with my mom after the last show, and she's like, "All I would say is maybe slow down a little bit because it really you gotta process what you're saying sometimes." I'm like,
Yeah.
"That's a good point, mom." You just don't, like but now I'm understanding exactly what she meant because 'cause I'm over here like, "Okay, point 1, okay, point 2, okay, point 3."
Mhm.
Listen, when I love this statement of, "How does God desire to express itself through me?" That is such a profound life mantra that I think everyone really needs to adopt. Of course, in your
Mhm.
own way. You might not say God, it might be Allah, it might be divine, it might be source, whatever you lean into, this belief that something greater than you exists, whatever that thing is that for you exists. How does it seek to express itself through you? If we walked this planet really tuned into that and leaning in, we would have such a different experience, like, such
Mhm.
a different experience on a big consciousness, right? Conscious level. But for us as individuals, simply entering this void, being in this void, knowing no longer the past, not yet quite in this future version of me, but how does this divine essence want to express itself through me today? Because it may very well be rest, it might be
Mhm.
self-care, it might be reading, like expanding through self-growth, expanding through self-development, stretching your knowledge in some way, shape, or form. It could be a long, warm bath. For me, it's coffee. Like, it's like, do we want coffee? Okay, cool. I'll give the soul what it needs. It needs a cup of coffee. But for me also, because again, you and I, we walk like this. It's just like my experience, and then not far after, it's your experience. Your experience, not far after, it's my
Mhm.
experience. And so both of us, not just in our personal lives, but also our professional lives, because listen, friends, this does not just happen to you in a personal experience. If you're an entrepreneur, you are going to have spaces where you are having the emptying out of clients, out activity, emptying out of some sort of, business happening that's really going to get you back into your
Mhm.
zone of I've got to go inward here and figure out what's going on. How do I tap into something that's going to support me with moving through whatever this is? It's meditation. It really is meditation. That is the quickest way to get you back in touch with you. Journaling, my friend
Mhm.
forever, journaling is another great way of being able to see your thoughts and where they are predominantly vibrating. You're going to
Mhm.
see if you're in the victim. You're going to see if you're in the negative space of sabotage. You're going to see those things. When you're journaling, it's your time to really purge out on paper from within, external, to move through this uncomfortable space. The other thing the guides are talking about is asking for support, meaning, where's my sign? I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Can't be anywhere else. Prove it. I am moving through this. I'm doing exactly what I need to do. Show me. Because that's the part of the co-creative thing, is that they come in to support you with that knowledge
Mhm.
and that wisdom, right? I love
Absolutely.
this. I love this conversation. Part of what I think also takes place as women is that we are conditioned to believe that we can't have this space. Because
Mm.
as a mother, let's go. Let's go. Like, you can't stop for a minute here. You got to go. You got to move. As a, partner even, you got to be there for your partner and, put everybody else's needs ahead of your own. You can't stop. I think we're conditioned as women to not take breaks, to not give rest, to not isolate because of what we're told or taught we need to be doing. Do you
Mhm.
resonate with
Yeah, so absolutely. I feel like there's it seems from what I've personally gone through and like just this whole conversation, what I've seen is that there is this, I think that as women, we like feel like it's our responsibility to take on all these things, like I'll take this on and do this and do this and do this and that whole thing. And it kind of leaves us in the space where, oh, okay, like my spiritual growth, my spiritual awakening, it'll just be over here, and for me as a new-ish mom, I have a 3-year-old and a 7-month-old. It's that is definitely has been a big shift for me in terms of, how I approach my own spiritual growth and how I approach my own soul awakening process. It's not the same than when I was doing it before kids. Before
Yep.
kids, it was like, whatever. I'll get up when I want to, or I'll set my alarm early and I'll meditate and do all these things, whatever. Nowadays, unless I'm meeting Jackie Hopper for this live stream, my kids are my alarm clock and I'm sleeping for as long as I can.
Yeah.
And and it's not meditate first thing in the morning. It's okay, at some point, usually now it's at nighttime. Everyone go to bed, get to bed so that I can have my peace and quiet at night, you know?
Mhm,
And so
mhm.
it looks different. And one of the things that I've
Yes.
learned, I don't know, this is coming through as part of this, is that there's also this adaptability that we have to allow ourselves to, first of all, know that we get to have it all. We don't have to sacrifice anything. I think that's one of the biggest
Mm,
things first to recognize that you don't have to sacrifice. You don't have to sacrifice your own spiritual, emotional, physical well-being, right? Like to care for others. And there's also the sense of, okay, this is what my life is right now. So how can I adapt so that I'm still filling all of my buckets, but also, showing up for the responsibilities that I'm here to show up for, as a mom, like in my case specifically, as a mom to little kids. It's like very different responsibilities and things are asked of me compared to, Christina pre-kids, for example, right? And
mm,
so I've learned to just adapt to what my like how I show up and what I'm juggling, but to always keep the spirituality at the forefront and to kind of allow it to be a part of my experience. You know what I mean? Like when I'm playing with my older daughter or when I'm with the baby and it's just like obviously she's not talking or anything, but I'm like, oh my God, like I get to have those moments with them where it's
yeah,
still spirit showing up. Is just different. It's not necessarily
yeah,
specifically, this, time alone and doing this thing. And then there's also the moments where again it's about the communication too and being like, "Hey, listen, like I need this time, tell my husband like this is what I need right now. So take the kids and go because now I need my time. So it's about that balance and find
yeah.
and adapting to what works for you, you know?
Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, what I kept hearing in your statements was like, this is part of the emptying out because you
Yeah.
will be a mother to young, beautiful little girls, for just a period of time. Like, as sad as that
Mhm.
sounds, like, as I say that, I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh my god." I sat with my Mason last night. He always asks, "Will you sit with me before bed with me at bedtime?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And as I'm rubbing his back and I'm soothing him to sleep, I'm thinking to myself, "He's 8. I might get another 2 years of this where it's no longer acceptable, to sit next to you and just soothe you to sleep." You know what I mean? And it's
Mhm.
the time, the place, and when we are tuned into our internal guidance system, we are shown, we are guided, we are essentially told through the inner
Mhm.
being what it is that is our priority right now. And it
Mm.
isn't just spirit says my priority right now is this, because I don't believe that spirit is at you know what I mean? Like, what do you want to say it? Like at the wheel, so to speak. We, as a
Right.
soul and a body, are at that wheel navigating the human experience with the support of the spiritual realm, the guides, the angels, and the ascended masters, etc. They're there to support and help
Mhm.
us. But in my state of being right now, what do I feel is the priority. And while spirituality is at the forefront, 100%, I could agree with you harder or stronger or more. Being that mom and having that balance of making sure that these children have all that they need physically,
Mhm.
spiritually, emotionally, energetically, mentally, right, is the most important thing. And spirit's going to support us with having just enough clientele for that, right? Having
Mhm.
just enough resources to provide for that, and the support around us to be able to ask when we need it, to have that
Mhm.
moment to recharge our battery, right? I think that's the emptying out process too, is us being able to navigate wherever we are in our time, right? And
Yes.
being able to, okay, they're older and maybe now my focus can be this. Okay. They're
Mhm.
really still little, so maybe my focus can be this. Like, honestly, like, I'm gonna put it out there. There have been times when I'm like, "Christina, oh my god, I wanna go do this thing. Are you on board? Let's go." And you're like, "Yeah, remember me? 2 little kids, I can't travel all that well. Like, we can't go across the pond right now." Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because it's just we're in different spaces in that way, but it's the
Mhm.
emptying out process. Beautiful example of it, I think for both
Yeah,
of us. And I think
absolutely.
it's yeah, I think it's important that we give ourselves that grace to know that it's going to be not permanent. Again, it's not
Right.
here forever, right? And like taking advantage of it right now while we can.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. I love how you mentioned that, especially, like putting your kids to sleep and like, there's only so many years of this. And that's what I think one of the biggest things that I've learned just in my journey into motherhood is literally no phase ever lasts. It's not forever lasting, like everything is a phase and everything, the good and the bad, sleepless nights, and you get your rest back. It's all just part of the journey and nothing is permanent. And so even in that journey of itself, speaking specifically in regards to parenthood, but this is applicable to anything, it's the understanding that in the journey itself, you are growing and you are learning about yourself and you are healing certain aspects of yourself, right? And especially in the case of parenthood, like the children reflect a lot of things back to you. And so it calls you
All the time.
forward. Yeah. It calls you forward into a greater aspect of who you truly are. And so, whatever your life circumstances, whether you have kids or not, it's important to see like the current situation that I'm in, the current circumstances, how much freedom and flexibility or the lack thereof that I feel, like wherever you are on that spectrum, all of it is there to support you into wherever you're meant to go next. And I think that's one of the biggest shifts too, is that nothing is truly something that's going to hold us back, so to speak, right? Like whatever the circumstances
Mhm.
might be, there have been moments where I have had thoughts where I'm like, oh, like, if these kids were a little bit older, I could have more time to do this, feeling in that narrative, there's this, oh, I'm, being held back, not being able to do something because they're so little, they haven't grown up yet or whatever, right? And instead, it's actually, wait, what's here for me in this moment that I get to receive that's going to support me at the fullest so that I can become the next version of myself that I'm meant to become. So that's,
Yeah.
whatever your circumstance or situation, it's all there to support you to step into who you're meant to become, who you truly are.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love it. And you're right. It doesn't matter if it's parenthood that we're having an example of a soul's awakening, right? Because it's new to you. While we may
Yeah,
have lived lives a million bajillion times, right here and right now, this is new to me being a mom. It's new to me having a 14-year-old. It's new to me having a
right.
23-year-old. It's all when we can look at it from that perspective, I think it does help us become more aligned with this
Mhm.
temporary space we find ourselves in and really checking what pressure we're putting on ourselves in this moment,
Yeah.
whether it is an entrepreneur vision that's not coming to life as quick as you'd like it, whether it is the parental experience mirroring back something maybe you've got to look at within your own self around your inner child that
Mhm.
wishes this was different, wishes there was more of this, wishes, that she had this growing up kind of a thing. These are all your soul's way of gaining the empty so it can fill
Mhm.
itself with the more love
Yes.
that comes in when we tend to our inner being, the more growth that comes when we boost that space of confidence, that space of patience, right? Like,
Mhm.
these are all beautiful experiences that seem sometimes, raise my hand here, moment by frickin' moment, man. You know what I mean? It's not like, "Oh, back in December, we had this really big awakening, and it's been 6 months." No, it's literally day by day sometimes.
Mhm.
The more that we
Absolutely.
the right? And the more we grow, the more this takes place. The more aware, the more this takes place. The more we
Mhm.
are gifted, the more that this takes place. It's called the energetic responsibility, right?
Mhm. Absolutely. Yep.
We have to have
Yep.
that energetic responsibility. And so, bringing this back, if we could for a moment, the difference between a soul awakening and a spiritual awakening being that the spiritual awakening is one, I'm not going to quote you because I will watch it. That happens once. You know where you were, you know what you were doing, you know what was going on in your life right then when you questioned if there was something greater than you that existed.
Mhm.
Can you take us back to where you were when that happened for you?
Yes. I love that. So, I don't remember the year exactly. I wanna say it was either 2000, maybe it was 2014-ish, I wanna say, maybe 15. But somewhere in that vicinity when I had already gone through my whole thing of like so I growing up I had eczema. Okay, so a little bit of backstory. Growing up I had eczema my whole life. 2012 I had a major flare up which really um shifted my perspective in the sense of like the direction that I was going. But I wouldn't say it was my necessarily spiritual awakening because I still wasn't, connected to spirit and all of that kind of stuff. But what it did do is that it helped me to pursue more of the path of like holistic wellness and nutrition and that sort of thing. So from 2012 to 2014, 15, I was on that journey of actually becoming certified as a nutritionist because I wanted to help people with health coaching, that sort of thing. And so it was while I was taking my nutritionist courses or whatever, it was holistic nutrition. And I distinctly remember that in one of the like modules or part of the curriculum, whatever, there was like some parts of like spirituality. And honestly, I always kick myself because I cannot remember the name of the book, but there was this book that was on the reading list. And
Mm,
oh my gosh, I'm getting chills as I'm saying this. And in that book, it was a story. And I think this was like a real story. I don't think it was like a fictional thing, but there was this storytelling around someone who was describing the energy of spirit and describing the universe and describing how life is more than just this physical experience that we are in. Oh my God, I'm getting major chills. And I remember I read that and I was like, what? Like, I remember that's when my mind exploded. I was like, wait, what?
everywhere, all
What
over
was that?
everything.
Yeah. There's spirit, there's this like divine, like she was talking about synchronicities and how we can get signs and blah blah blah. Like it was very like basic, like high level, just intro to spirituality type of stuff. But I remember I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. But like that's what set me on the path. And then from there is when I like started just I don't even remember this part so much. I just know that somehow I ended up on a blog that was like, I tried to do 30 days of meditation and it changed my life. And that's when I was like, meditation, like I've heard of that before. That seems kind of weird, but whatever. I'm gonna try it. And then that's when things unfold. So that was like, but that book was the beginning of my spiritual awakening. And then things unfolded from there,
Mm.
that added to my spiritual awakening. But that was the
Yeah.
moment that I like when I read that book, that is where my mind exploded and when I completely opened up and started to search this path.
Yes, it's so good. I remember for myself, we had a family friend who was psychic, and so I
Mm,
would mingle with her a lot and loved the idea that she could tune in and that she could listen to spirit. And I don't I don't resonate with having had these gifts when I was born, although I do believe I did. I wasn't tuned
mhm.
into them, right? For me, I had to walk this path of learning,
Yeah,
growing, and consuming, and t and really
yeah,
walking it in my own way to
same.
connect to it, right? That's a huge
Mhm.
thing people need to know. Like, there's so many people that are like, "Oh, you're either born with it or you're not." No.
Yes.
Not at all, actually. Not everybody, I should say. Yes, there are some that
Mhm,
are born seeing spirit and they stay seeing spirit. There's some that are born seeing spirit and you shut it off. You shut it down for whatever your reasons are. But for me, I don't resonate with being psychic from a young age or even seeing
mhm,
energy from a young age, right? And so this was something that for me started in 2000 and Jake's 2009. Yeah, so around that time that I
mhm,
started really questioning this family friend. Like, "Okay,
mhm.
what do you mean you see this, feel this, sense this?" And she gave me the Law of Attraction, but The Secret. The book The
Oh,
Secret was my gateway. It was my gateway to exploring that there was way more to this experience than what
mhm.
I believed or thought. And again, with the energy here, it's like, "Holy cow." This was something that you could feel this information coming to life. Does that make sense? Coming online. It's not even like, "Oh, wow, that's a great idea." It wasn't an idea. It was a
Right.
knowing that has always existed within that literally came to life. And
Yep.
from that space, nothing was ever gonna be the same again because it's you're gonna know where you are, just like you said, you're gonna know where you are when you have this
Mhm.
connection to this something greater, this divine. When this calls or taps you on the shoulder, like, yes, there
Yeah.
is more to life. People ask all the time, what's one of the ways that I can start that investigation or that journey?
Mm.
How can I begin that if I didn't have an eczema flare up or if I didn't
Mhm.
have dark night of the soul? What if I don't resonate with having any of that trauma or any of that, situation taking place in my world? But how do I start this? It's literally the
Mhm.
simple question of if this something more exists, what is it for me?
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think that
I love
that
that.
is a profound light switch, buzzer. You know what I mean? How do we catch
Mhm.
spirit? Just dial spirit's number. How do I know that something greater than me exists? I'd like to know. Please call me
Yes.
back, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Have no fear.
Yes.
Spirit's like, "Oh, thank you. You invited us in. And
Yes.
now we can show you the realm of the unseen that you just haven't noticed yet." You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yes.
It's
Yes.
it's there.
That's so good. I was just about to say it's always there. It's just the matter of our awareness being fine tuned to it. Then all of a sudden, you're going to start seeing the angel numbers or the feathers or the signs or whatever it is. It's so different for each person, but it's exactly that, and it's the invitation. That was the key thing that you just said. Is it's the invitation of spirit
Mhm.
to come in and to show you and to sharpen your awareness. And that's the key
Right,
thing. It's not like they're not there and then you invited them in, so they're like, okay, we're going to be here with you now. It's like they're
right.
always there, they're just waiting for the invitation to help sharpen
Yeah,
your awareness. I do believe that it's a way in which we invite them in, is that then our awareness shifts, because it's the
mhm,
same thing when we're going through, like healing or a process, or let's say you're going through a challenge and you're just like, what do I need? Like, what is the lesson for me here? What am I supposed to heal from this? Like, what is it that this is bringing to me? As soon as you start asking that question, your awareness starts to get sharpened to notice what that actually is, what you're being called into, and that's part of
Yeah.
what you had mentioned earlier on in terms of the co-creative process, in terms of how we work with the divine to support us. It's not like they're the ones who are going to reward us with this or that. It's we have to be the ones walking the path. They're going to show us the way. They're going to help sharpen our awareness. They're going to bring things to us to receive or to see or to understand so that we can take that and continue to walk and create what we truly desire.
I love that. I love that. I've got a controversial question. Do
Okay, let's
you
go
believe
for it.
do you ready? Do you believe that everyone will have a spiritual and or soul awakening?
Not in this lifetime, no. Not in a single lifetime. I don't believe so.
Mm,
So I believe that
mm,
there are people on this planet who will live their life here and not having gone through an actual spiritual awakening. But it doesn't mean that their soul won't reincarnate and come back in another life and then go through the process. I believe that
mhm.
every soul is meant to, but not necessarily in within a single lifetime.
'Kay.
That is my
Do you
controversial
Yeah,
answer.
controversial answer. Well, I resonate with it. I might not have formed the question to your to the way that you would have liked or answered it differently, but for me, I believe that we will all be gifted an opportunity, but might not
Mhm.
take that calling off. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So, like,
Yes.
I think I'm gonna allow you to agree with that. Like, let me allow you to change your answer
I
because
do
I didn't
agree with
ask it.
that. I do agree that we all get the opportunity, but not everyone's gonna take that opportunity.
Right, right, and I think that I'm checking with them. No, I know that. I know that. High five. I know that conversations like this,
Yeah.
and the more that we can get these messages and these awarenesses and these concepts out into the world, the more that people will actually have this experience or
Yes.
be gifted an opportunity to have an experience because it's not something that's reserved for a select few. I
Mhm.
believe that it is in the backpack of everyone that comes down the chute. It's whether or not we pick up what's put down in that moment of opportunity
Mhm.
to really navigate towards having it become a spiritual or soul awakening versus another, gut punch, so to speak. Because there are those that walk feeling like life's against them. It's one hit
Yep.
after the next, one traumatic experience from the next. It's one, big curse, so to speak, that I just live. And until I die, this is what it's
Mhm.
going to look like. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, mm-mm, no,
Yeah.
it's literally another way that I feel spirit tries to just nudge us towards there is something greater than this, and you can choose to see it this way or move this way and walk the healing way to
Yeah.
support the expansion of a spiritual experience or soul awakening type of thing,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. And I love what you said about, I do feel that as we as a collective, we continue to awaken and follow our individual paths, that it's almost like it increases the probability of more and more and more people awakening because now there's more, the ones who have awakened already or are currently awakening. Now,
Mhm,
what's happening is that you are holding more of the light of the divine, and the more that there's people who are holding and bringing that through in whatever creative expression, whatever way, then the divine has a way to actually do things through us,
mhm.
on earth. And so the more
Yes,
there's that happening, then the more people we can reach, you know what I mean? Just
yes.
by simply being.
Yeah,
So it doesn't necessarily
yep.
even have to look like, okay, I'm on a mission. I gotta go and talk to millions of people and I gotta do this. It might be part of your mission, but it doesn't necessarily
I
mean
was
that it
gonna
has
say,
to be.
"Hey, I feel called out right now. I'm exposed."
For some people, yes, but other people not necessarily, but they're
True.
still in that awakened state, and it's simply by
Right.
you being, like, your beingness, you're vibrating at a higher frequency. You're allowing more of this light to be part of you and who you are and how you show up, and that has a positive impact. That does have an influence, even though we can't
Absolutely.
physically see it, it does have an influence, and so even, more of us just shining in more of that light and that truth and that higher frequency is going to have an impact for everyone, you know?
Absolutely, 100%. And part of this getting this out there, I'm actually gonna be hosting a free masterclass tomorrow evening via Zoom at 6 PM. It's called Defining Your Rich.
That's
Everyone
amazing.
watching is invited. You can go to that QR code and scan it, and sign yourself up because we have, like, over 75 people in this masterclass that are ready to define their rich, which stands for
Mm,
receiving increased consistent happiness, really. And so
mm,
I'm really excited to take this even further in this masterclass. So people watching, go scan the QR code or reach
mhm.
out to the team so we can get you signed up for this experience. It's going to be amazing. But I know for you, you've got some pretty epic ways that people can also move with you on this spiritual
Yes.
soul awakening. Share with us how people can connect with
Yes.
you, continue a conversation with you.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So the two main places where you'll find me is on YouTube, which if you search Christina Roche, you'll find me there. Or my I think YouTube changed it. My at symbol is Christina Roche channel. So if you search that, you'll find me on YouTube. You can also find me on Instagram. It's at Christina Aroche. And and then the other thing that I have going on right now, because I'll just share that it's my birthday on Friday. And so this week I have some specials happening. So one of the things is that I don't often do this, but I have a session called Guardian Angel Readings, which essentially connects you to your guardian angels and helps you to know who's around you. They're like all the information about your guardian angels, which by the way is more than just like they're here to protect me. They're here to support you.
Oh,
Like they are here as supportive angels to guide you on your path. So those sessions are on special right now. So you can go to my website, ChristinaRoche.com, and you'll find the link there. And then if you're following me on my
yay.
socials, I have a really special thing that's coming out on Friday that I'm not going to share what it is, but there's something really exciting that I am releasing to the world. Jackie knows, but she's not going to spill the beans right now.
No, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. I'm a good best friend. I'm a
It's
good best
something
friend, but you're gonna
that
wanna
I
know what it is.
yes, I've something that I've never done
Mhm.
before, something that
Yeah,
is just like so special and been a long time coming. So you're gonna see the
so
announcement
good.
on that on Friday. So
Awesome.
follow me.
Yes, so many amazing things happening, so many good things coming your way. It is so good. Well, we want to take a moment to thank you all for joining us. If you were in the audience, we're shouting you out. We saw you. It's so good. So good. I cannot wait for next week's conversation. We're just going to keep the train going. Thank you so much for joining us today. Next week's show, we have Mr. Howard Falco. Ooh, he's going to be a great conversation. You don't want to miss that as well. This show is also heard on Spanglish Radio Network. So please make sure you go to spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World, you gotta love it, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Until next week, everyone, we'll see you then.